Merriam-Webster defines a gatekeeper as a person who is better than you because they know how many doubles your favorite player hit in college. A gatekeeper is someone who laughs when you talk about a player who came out of nowhere, as if they weren't the 97th ranked prospect in baseball to start the year. A gatekeeper is someone who watches the Arizona Fall League for the sole purpose of telling you that they watch the Arizona Fall League. A gatekeeper's job is to prevent you from enjoying something. In baseball, we typically see this manifested in one of two ways. The first is when someone tries to gatekeep players from their own fan base. Let's call these internal gatekeepers. This person might say something like, "You didn't know that we drafted so-and-so in the competitive balance round B. Therefore, you don't get to like him." The second way we see access controlled is externally, which is when a fan tries to gatekeep players from the masses. It's common for an external gatekeeper to get mad at something written online, even when it's positive. They usually say something like, "I've known he was good for years before you wrote your little article about him. You're late to the party. Therefore, you don't get to like him." The nice thing about baseball is that there's no shortage of paths an aspiring gatekeeper can take. Even if you can't get into one of the Ivy Leagues like prospects or analytics, there are any number of community colleges that will gladly accept you. Sure, you're not diving into the stars of tomorrow or finding underrated gems with expected stats, but this is your chance to get into guys with funny mustaches, or relievers that slap themselves before they pitch, or guys that wear extremely tight pants for no reason. The only consideration a gatekeeper has when choosing a player is their accessibility threshold. If we think about it like a spectrum, where Shohei Ohtani is all the way on the right, being the most accessible player in baseball, a gatekeeper's one rule is that they cannot cross into the pool of popularity. Once a player has reached the point of widespread likability and recognition, the power to gatekeep him no longer exists. A good example of this is Kyle Schwarber. You may have been able to successfully gatekeep him for his first few seasons in Chicago, but since joining the Phillies, he's broken out into the mainstream, and therefore made it impossible to be gatekept by any one person. Gatekeeping is like trading stocks. You're always looking to buy low and sell high. If that means watching Korean baseball at 3 in the morning in order to find the next international superstar, then that's what you gotta do. If you've done a good job of diversifying your portfolio, then you will have collected players from all different sectors of the market. Maybe you've made some long shot bets on a few up-and-comers like Bubba Chandler and Colson Montgomery, or some niche trait picks like Chandler Simpson and Ceddanne Rafaela. Maybe you like to mine the underrated players, so you buy at a fair value for guys like Christopher Sanchez, Nico Horner, and Zach Neto. Hell, maybe you place a bet on a guy just because his name is Dylan Dingler, and then he turns out to be a top 5 catcher in baseball. But sometimes you need a unicorn. The player that outperforms every other player in your portfolio. The man who has gatekeepers gatekeeping from other gatekeepers. The man at the center of the biggest gatekeeping bubble since Bartolo Colon. The holographic Charizard of players to gatekeep. The man known as Ben Rice. Ben Rice's talent to gatekeeping ratio is one of the craziest in baseball. The best way to put it is that he's got Bobby Witt Jr.'s following with Ryan O'Hearn's production. He's a solid player with a tantalizing offensive profile, but the number of people involved at this point has reached 2020 crypto levels. He's the most gatekept player in baseball because everyone seemingly has a claim to him. It's expected that Yankees fans would be on the front lines doing their duty to protect one of their own. But it didn't stop there. Because he attended Dartmouth, the nerds feel called to say he's one of them. He racks up the second highest expected WOBA on the Yankees, so the nerds that didn't go into finance say he's one of them. The prospect gurus all miss on him, so the scouts get to claim him, and he starts his career behind the plate, so the catching community says he's one of them. There's probably even a contingency of high sock fanatics on Reddit that are coming out of the woodwork right now to claim the potential star. Everyone who knows Ben Rice somehow thinks they're the only ones that know who he is. If you're a hardcore Yankees fan, you've spent time showing your casual friends his blood red baseball savant page, thinking they haven't heard about this up-and-coming slugger yet. But your casual friend already knew who he was, because their dad sent them a broken Facebook link to his viral debut video. Ben Rice is like the 3 seed in March Madness that everyone picks to win the tournament. We delude ourselves into thinking it's a uniquely shrewd play, only to find out that 18 out of the 20 dudes in our pool also had them winning it all. Everyone wants to be the guy that knew about Ben Rice first, but instead, we've all managed to collect way more information about him than we ever thought we would. Facts like how he watched himself get drafted at a local library, or how he grew up a Yankees fan despite living in New England. Facts like how he only had 99 career collegiate at-bats because COVID shut down his sophomore and junior seasons. The good news is that we can all collectively lay down our frivolous Ben Rice facts, because the dude has reached critical mass. Which is great, because it's time we got back to the basics of gatekeeping anyway, deliberately picking sidekicks and getting mad at people for not talking about them. It's time we fired up the old burner account and beat the drum on guys like Tyler Soderstrom and Patrick Bailey, guys like James Wood, Jonathan Aranda, and Bryce Terang. Guys that give us an ego boost because our friends don't know that they led the league in defensive run value, or care to know that they increased their bat speed by a mile an hour in the offseason. These are the players that need us now more than ever. It's time to sit back and let the masses have Ben Rice.